Bismillah. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon, guys. How are you today? Right. Before that, we are from group 4. Today we will present about the Escher, Painter, and also Gardner's theory from children language acquisition. Before we get to the material, let us introduce ourselves first. Firstly, my name is Rindo Ramadan Saputra.
My name is Alisa.
My name is Utapia.
My name is Anu.
My name is Katrina.
My name is Fitri.
My name is Amanda.
And we are from group 4. And right now, without any further ado, let's get into our first material about James Escher theory.
For the first James Escher theories, James G. Escher is a psychologist and professor at St. Joseph's University, California, USA, known for his contribution to the field of language acquisition. He developed total physical response, or TPR, as an innovative approach to second and foreign language learning. Total physical response, or TPR, is a method of teaching of foreign or second language or target language that involves learners through a series of commands in a foreign language and immediately respond with an appropriate physical action. It was proposed by James Escher in the late 1960s. TPR is a language instruction method that builds around coordination of speech and action. It can be seen that TPR places strong emphasis on listening, speaking, and doing. TPR can be highly helpful for teaching young learners because it accommodates their inclination to learn best by doing. So it respects the need of children to develop listening comprehension before they are ready to speak. Before they feel ready to comfortable to speak. So TPR allows teachers to incorporate playful activities and physical exercise, making lesson more dynamic and enjoyable. For the next, the features of TPR, there are 4. For the first, using interactive activities. As I said before, that TPR involves engaging learner in physical movement through interactive activities such as following commands, storytelling, role-playing, or acting out stories. And the second, lowering the affective filter. The affective filter here means emotional barriers such as anxiety for making mistakes or the lack of confidence that can hinder language learning. The TPR itself creates a relaxed and comfortable learning environment which helps learners absorb language naturally. And the third one is building self-esteem or confidence. Students can feel secure when they obey instruction by using their motor skills, since the activities is simple to follow and comprehend. And for the last is promoting the motivation. The TPR makes learning more fun and dynamic, which can increase student motivation. For the next,
The next material is theory of language. This strategy is based on the innovation of first language acquisition. The main idea is that all languages, including second and foreign languages, should be taught in the same way that children learn their mother tongue. According to Escher, most children learn through body movements before they reach the stage of speaking. Thus, teaching a foreign language follows the same pattern. Kita pakai Indo aja ya. Jadi, sebelum ke tahap berbicara, anak-anak belajar bahasa itu melalui gerakan tubuh. Nah, begins to understand complex utterance that they cannot produce spontaneously. Jadi, perkembangan keterampilan mendengarkan melalui keterampilan berbicara. Pada tahap awal pemerolehan bahasa pertama, anak-anak mulai memahami ujaran-ujaran kompleks yang tidak dapat mereka hasilkan secara spontan. Jadi kayak mereka mendengarkan dari orang yang berbicara, orang-orang di lingkungan mereka. Karena masih awal sekali, mereka tidak bisa merespon, tidak bisa memahami ujaran-ujaran yang kompleks yang tidak dapat mereka hasilkan secara spontan. And then the second, listening skills are acquired because children are required to listen to their parents' commands. Keterampilan mendengarkan diperoleh karena anak-anak diharuskan untuk mendengarkan perintah orang tua. Jadi kayak orang tua mereka memberi perintah sit down. Jadi mereka meresponnya dengan mereka harus apa? Kalau sit down itu bagaimana harusnya? Duduk kan. Jadi mereka melihat respon orang lain, bagaimana harus merespon perintah tersebut. And then the third, when the basic listening skills have been formed, oral communication skills will grow naturally and easily. Ketika kemampuan mendengarkannya mereka sudah terbentuk, kemampuan komunikasi lisan akan terbentuk secara natural atau alami. The next is the theory of learning. The coordination of linguistic and bodily behavior goes hand in hand with the claim to reproduce good first language acquisition. According to Rickards and Rogers, Esser states that the activity is based on the following theory. The first is the Bayeux program. TPR follows the natural sequence of first language acquisition, which emphasizes listening before speaking. Esser proposed that learners first develop a mental blueprint for language through listening and physical response. Speaking comes naturally after comprehension is established. Coba deh, bayangkan bagaimana awal bayi belajar berbicara. Ya bisa kan? Pasti mereka merespon mendengar bahasa yang digunakan oleh orang-orang di lingkungannya. Nggak bisa langsung dibicarakan. Nah, mereka memahami gerakan dan respon di lingkungan mereka. Setelah responnya itu dipahami, baru mereka mulai berbicara secara spontan. Nah, Esser menyatakan ini juga dapat diterapkan dalam pembelajaran second language or foreign language. The second, brain lateralization. Esser emphasized right brain learning, in contrast to traditional language teaching that focuses on the left brain. He argues that language learning begins with motor activity in the right hemisphere of the brain before the left hemisphere process language for projection. Jadi, kita tahu kan kalau otak itu dibagi menjadi dua, otak kanan dan otak kiri. Nah, fungsi otak kiri itu untuk belajar language atau language learning, sedangkan yang otak kanan itu berfungsi sebagai controlling body movements. Nah, dalam teori Esser menyatakan kalau di sekolah itu kita belajar hanya menggunakan otak kiri, yang mana kita hanya belajar language learning itu menggunakan otak kiri, sedangkan Esser itu menyatakan kalau kita belajar language learning itu juga harus menggunakan otak kanan. Jadi dipadukan antara otak kiri dan otak kanan, gitu. Contohnya kayak saat anak-anak belajar menyebutkan bagian organ tubuh atau anatomi, itu mereka nggak hanya menyebutkan dengan mulut atau berpikir dengan otak saja, tapi juga mempraktekkan kayak hands, head, eyes, nose, and etc. 11. Reduction of stress. Effective language learning requires a stress-free environment. Esser suggests that minimizing stress by focusing on movement-based meaning rather than abstract language rules helps learner avoid embarrassment, making the process more natural and engaging. Misal, daripada anak-anak disuruh hafalan kosakata, hafalan tata bahasa, akan lebih menyenangkan kan kalau menggunakan gerakan-gerakan, dan itu akan lebih mudah dipahami. Seperti itu teori Esser. And the next material will be presented by Rika.
from the first stage of development. She has been involved in the teaching of linguistics for several years and is currently working as a tutor in the Department of Linguistics at Sydney University, as well as being concerned with the development of linguistic theory. She is interested in both mother tongue and English as a second language of linguistics in education. The next is Marisa.
Okay, the next material is about language as a synthetic system. So based on Claire Painter, language was technically defined as a set of rules describing different sentence structures. The essence of language was taken to be a synthetic structure, and so the most interesting starting point for language proper was the production of the first two word structures at the beginning of syntax. Then, in theory, language is as a synthetic has transformational theory. The number one is deep structure and surface structure. So, deep structure it means the basic thought or idea, and surface structure it means the actual sentence we speak. Then I will give you the example in my report. Okay guys, so these two sentences has two the same deep structures is has the most. Maksudnya itu kan ini kan ada dua kata. Nah dua katanya itu kan sama-sama apa artinya itu kan kayak kucing mengejar tikus kan. Nah tapi di kata ini ada dua perbedaan, yaitu bisa juga tikus dikejar sama kucing. Jadi seorang anak itu juga bisa belajar bahasa dari sintetik atau grammarnya. Kayak kalian pernah lihat gak kalau anak kecil itu kadang terbalik bicaranya? Ya kenapa? Itu kayak gitu. Tapi sama aja sebenarnya mereka itu ngomongin yang dimaksud itu kayak gitu. So the next material will be presented by Rico.
Right. Next is about language as a semantic system. So basically, language is regarded as a self-contained set of rules defining structure, rather than, for example, a kind of communicative behavior. And in both cases, children's utterances tend to be viewed as a version of adult speech, rather than a system of the child's. So basically, in Painter's theory, it distinguishes between child language and also adult language, by emphasizing that children's not only imitating adult language, but also the children can develop their own unique language system. According to the Painter's theory, the main difference between child language and adult language lies in the way children construct and use their own language system, as well as how they interact with their surroundings to develop their language skills. Kalau di bahasa Indonesia kan simpelnya gini, kan anak-anak itu belajar bahasa dari lingkungan sekitarnya ya, tadi udah disampaikan juga. Jadi yang dimaksud dari children ada tadi their own language system, kan mereka belajar bahasa itu nggak mungkin bisa langsung sampai level kompleks kayak kita. Jadi mereka tuh mulai dari perkata. Misal udah kenal kata makan, jadi pas mereka lapar, mereka tuh cuma ngomong makan. Atau enggak, misal mereka lapar ya mereka cuma bilang lapar, udah satu kata doang. Sedangkan kita yang udah memiliki banyak kelas Pasti kita kalau lapar tuh kayak ngomongnya, aduh aku lapar mau makan. Pasti kayak gitu ya. Lebih kompleks. Nah, jadi yang dimaksud dengan apa tadi? Children's own language system. Nah, yang dimaksud dari language systemnya itu begitu. Mereka masih bisa berkembang, tapi jelas dimulai dari perkata dulu. Jadi mereka belajar dari satu kata dulu. Next. And about language as interaction mothers. So basically it's a style of speech that became known as baby talk or mothers. Mother tongue as the first language children learn in the family environment, and it has a positive and significant influence on children's oral and language skills. Children can learn to speak from the language that used in daily conversation in their family environment. Painter sees that children have their own language system that develops gradually. That's it what I said earlier. They do not just imitate adult language, but they can create language patterns based on their understanding of the environment. Jadi kalau painter itu melihat bahwa sebenarnya anak-anak itu memiliki sistem bahasa mereka sendiri, kayak yang tadi saya sebutin, dan sistem bahasa mereka itu selalu berkembang, tapi secara bertahap. Mereka tidak hanya meniru bahasa dari orang dewasa, tapi mereka juga menciptakan pola-pola bahasa berdasarkan pemahaman mereka terhadap lingkungan mereka tumbuh dan berkembang. Right, maybe that's from me. Next material.
Okay, the next is speech X. Karena di si Peter itu carinya teori itu besar, tapi ini base dari bukunya. Itu dia mengutip teorinya Austin tentang speech X, that point out that utterance may be classified as various kinds of speech acts according to their communicative function. That is to say, the sentence "my car is a Holden" can be seen as having a descriptive function, conveying a fact, whereas "open the door" or "I need a bigger nail" on good speech as having a directive function, aimed at getting the addresses to the something and so on. In order to determine the function of an utterance, it is obviously necessary to pay considerable attention to the speaker's nonverbal behavior and to the general speech situation, since this factor may indicate a speaker's intentions more clearly than the actual syntactic form of what it says. Moreover, if language is defined in terms of communicative behavior rather than syntactic form, then it is possible to link it with other kinds of behavior, including pre-linguistic behavior. The next.
The last material is about impact psychology. The kinds of earlier behavior that can be linked with language development include the guessing and attention staging behavior of infants that the child understand the concept of turn talking after their parents have spoken. They have not heard to speak up. So, the children sudah mengerti kayak berkembang. Kalau misalkan ada orang dewasa itu berbicara, terus ibunya itu membawa bayi kan, nah bayinya itu memperhatikan orang dewasa itu bicara, sambil terkadang dia juga mengeluarkan suara. Jadi itu seorang bayinya mengikuti, secara nggak sadar mengikuti kalau sebenarnya itu dia juga ikut bicara walaupun belum ada kata makna tertentu. Itu. And the next material will be present by Sarah.
Okay, the next material is about Gardner's theory. I will introduce who is Howard Gardner. Howard Gardner is an American developmental psychologist and professor at Harvard University. Introduced the theory of multiple intelligences of MI, challenging the traditional view of intelligence as a single measurable factor, IQ. He believes that intelligence is differs influenced by culture, experience, and learning style. Every child has unique strengths, and educator must design learning methods that character to different intelligences to help student success. The key point of MI theory is intelligence is not a single ability but consists of multiple dimensions. Every child possesses a unique combination of intelligences. Educators should provide learning experience that nurture different intelligences, and intelligence is not fixed and can develop through education and experience. There are eight intelligence from Gardner's theory. First is linguistic intelligence. Linguistic intelligence is the ability to understand and use language effectively in speaking and writing. People with the intelligence are good at reading, writing, verbal and verbal communication. They have a strong vocabulary, can express ideas clearly, and understand language rules. This intelligence is important for careers like writers, poets, journalists, lawyers, public speakers, and translator and teachers. The second intelligence is logical mathematical intelligence. Logical mathematical intelligence is the ability to think logically, analyze problems, and work with numbers. People with intelligence enjoy solving puzzles, recognizing patterns, and using reasoning to find solutions. They skilled in calculation, strategy game, and scientific thinking. This intelligence is useful in careers such as mathematics, scientists, engineers, economics, programmers, and planners. And the third is musical intelligence. Musical intelligence is the ability to recognize, create, and enjoy the music. People with this intelligence are sensitive to sound, rhythm, and melodies. They can easily remember tunes, play instruments, and compose music. This intelligence is important for musicians, composer, conductor, sound engineer, music therapist, and sound designer. Okay, the next is body kinesthetic intelligence will be presented by Kartika.
And then the next types of intelligence is bodily kinesthetic intelligence. According to Gardner, 1983, bodily kinesthetic intelligence can be defined as the capacity to utilize one's own body in highly proficient and diverse ways, both for expressive purposes and to achieve specific goals. So, in other words, kinesthetic intelligence is the ability to use the body or body movements to express ideas and feelings. This intelligence is characterized by a high degree of physical coordination, dexterity, and control over body movement. Children with kinesthetic intelligence tend to be active, quickly learn physical skills, and like to move while thinking. They also like to act, imitate their friends' movements or expressions, play sports, are skilled at making crafts, and like to use movements to help them remember various things. And then the fifth type of intelligence is spatial. Spatial intelligence refers to the ability to visualize, manipulate, and interpret spatial relationships between objects. It is essential for understanding geometric concepts, navigating environments, and mentally rotating three-dimensional objects. Individuals with this intelligence tend to think and remember information in form, visual form, and have the ability to recognize visual patterns, read maps, and maybe understanding diagram and infographics. And then the next is interpersonal intelligence. Interpersonal intelligence is the ability to understand and interact effectively with other people. This intelligence shows a person's ability to be sensitive to other people's feelings. It involves empathy, communication skills, conflict resolution, and social awareness, allowing individuals to navigate relationship and group dynamics successfully. Interpersonal intelligence is often referred to as social intelligence. They tend to understand and interact with other people, so they easily socialize with their environment. Children with interpersonal intelligence are able to establish close friendship with friends and also have abilities such as leading, organizing, handling disputes between friends, and gaining sympathy from other students. And then the seven types of intelligence is intrapersonal intelligence. Gardner's explanation of interpersonal intelligence can be described as as the cognitive ability to process information relevant to oneself. This ability examines and brings coherence to skills, emotions, beliefs, aspirations, physical sensation, and self-representations. Interpersonal intelligence pertains to self-awareness, introspection, and emotional regulation. It enables individuals to understand their own thoughts, motivations, and behaviors, leading to better decision making and personal growth. Someone who has this intelligence tends to be able to recognize various strengths and weaknesses in themselves. In other words, a child who has this intelligence likes to do self introspection, correct their weaknesses, and then try to improve themselves. And then the last material is about naturalistic intelligence. Naturalistic intelligence, as described by Howard Gardner's theory of multiple intelligence, is defined as an individual's ability to observe, understand, and interact with the natural world. Naturalistic intelligence can also define as a person's ability to be sensitive to the classification and recognition of elements in nature, such as plants, animals, and ecosystem. Individuals with a high awareness and appreciation of their natural environment often exhibit this form of intelligence. And a child with this type of intelligence tends to like observing the natural environment, such as various types of rocks, kinds of soil layers, classifying flora and fauna, and so on.
Alright, that's all the material that our group can present today. And right now, let's move to the Q&A session. Is there anything you guys want to ask? Any question? Alright, I will count until 10. If there were no question asked, we will close our presentation today. One, two,